Uh, it's like I was sharing this story. I don't remember whether it was on the broadcast or just when we were meeting in the Kendra here. My brother, when he was younger, he would share a lot of stories. Like he would say, I met, there was a famous cricketer in India called Kapil Dev. So he said, oh, I went out of the house and I met Kapil Dev, and then he threw a ball at me and I hit it for a six, and all of these kind of things. And then I mean, when you're younger than 3 years, age difference makes a lot of difference. So I would just like smile and nod. And it was not that I was in opposition to what he was saying. And there was so much love that I was accepting. I was accepting everything that he would say, but I would not take it to be the truth. You see? So you can be in harmony with what is being said, but it doesn't mean that you have to confirm that its limited ideas about who you are have to be taken to be true. So this is a distinction which is important. So the heart actually is never in opposition to anything that shows up in the world, although outwardly it may seem like, there's a strong opposition and leave the mind, all this thing. But really in the heart, it is not in opposition to any of that. But being in harmony with it does not imply that you take its utterances or ramblings to be representative of reality. So to recognize that it is a limited instrument with only so much capability and scope, and not able to decipher even a moment in reality, like right now, the mind cannot answer what this is, even a moment of what this is, even the manifest aspect of what this is. You see, if we say that, okay, Mr. Mind or Miss Mind, you just define this much, which is what is this right now. It will not be able to define it and the way to test that is that everybody will have a different idea about what this is. So it is impossible to glean the truth out of it. But to accept that it is an instrument which is limited in this nature, that doesn't mean you go to war with it and you don't accept that it is an aspect of consciousness. You accept it, but you don't take, if it is telling you that you are a snail or a rabbit or whatever, you will not take it to be true. In the same way, when it is saying that you are this entity which somehow is an owner of this body in some way, you see, it is not even clear about what that definition of me is. You see, sometimes when put in a spot, it says, no, but I'm just saying you are this body. But if you look at its goals, it has nothing to do with the body. You see, what it wants to do, what it wants to gain, fame and money and all of that, the body is not concerned with at all. So although it uses the body as a pivot, like as a central pivot to its ability to identify, it is not really setting goals which are body oriented. Most of the goals are about this entity which nobody can find. And having thoroughly investigated that and seen that there is nobody like that, then to go to its words and take those to be a truth about yourself, that would be a disservice to yourself. In the overall play, of course. So that would be a disservice that you don't have to do. You can allow it to speak, you can allow it to come and go, but you can rely on your own insight about what you are more than you rely on what the words that are being represented coming from the mind are saying about what you are. Just in the same way that you would not limit yourself to just what your sight is saying about you. You see? If you limited yourself to just sight and not count hearing, not count taste, not count touch, not count any of the other ways to perceive, then that would be a limitation, and that is too small for even your manifest reality. In the same way, just to take the mind's words to be true about who, I lost her, but I'll continue talking, to take the mind's representation of who you really are is too limiting. You see? So if you don't have a problem with this saying, okay, of course, there is more to my perception than sight. There is more to my perception and my being than just hearing or any one of the senses. Then there is no reason why we must be so much in opposition to just recognizing this that there is more to my existence and my reality than just what my mind is proposing. You see? So if the mind is limited in that sense, just like one of the senses, then what can we go to? Who can we rely on for the truth? You see? So if it is limited based on our direct insight, and we can see that I'm clearly beyond what the mind is representing, then what is it? If it offers for my limited representation mostly just lead to suffering and trouble, you see, if I buy into them, then if I let go of the belief in the mind, then is there something else that I can rely on to tell me the truth about myself or insight of the truth about myself? See? And that is what your intuition is, what is your Atma Gyan or Atma Darshan, which is available. And it is completely apparent when we are not taking ourselves to be limited based on that limited representation. Your broadness, your vastness is completely apparent to you. Even one who has come, even one who hates the notion of satsang, doesn't believe in guru and none of that, can meet this pointing and they can see, yes, you see, I don't seem to be only as limited as the body-mind organism, which the mind proposes me to be. So then the question is, do I need to harmonize the painting which the mind is painting about myself and the insight that I'm having about myself? Do I need to harmonize these two things? So that again, intuitively looking, there is no disharmony because it is recognized as a painting, it is recognized as a storybook. So then I don't have to sort of insert my identity in that and try to find out how my godliness or my consciousness squeezes into that storybook narrative. Because it's in your consciousness, your being is completely in harmony with the storybook narrative. It is not in opposition to it. You see? So mostly it is the mind which takes on the attempt to say, yes, now we have made this discovery of this broadness, of this vastness. Now, how can I apply it to my narrative? How can I apply it to this narrative? How can I use it so that? So, and in its attempts, I have not seen a successful attempt to insert this discovery which you and I are making into this narrative of the mind, because it seems too limited and it seems too much hard work to try and do that and say, okay, actually I am this body mind somewhere, so how can I make sure that I'm not forgetting my godlike nature? So, or those kind of juggling sort of attempts. Whereas, what is the trouble in seeing yourself in the reality of your being, in the reality of that which is aware of your being? Don't we all find a naturalness, a harmony in our day-to-day expressions as well? There is just a natural. It's like the meal is already cooked. Why God is already cooking the meal? Then what attempt, what effort is required on top of that for us to make it like super tasty? You see? Isn't that just like a fallacious attempt? And what tools do we have available at our disposal to do that? See? Except our conceptual ideas of what is true or not. There's no actual tool that the mind has or that non-existent person has to try and reconcile itself with the heart or something like that. The heart is already reconciled. That in some ways what I've been trying to express. Of course, it's not easy to express.